Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here with us. We have a very important topic to discuss, cybersecurity. It's something that's near and dear to my heart and to very special to the people that we have on from IT as well. A very important part of our cybersecurity strategy here at SAISD is what we call our human firewall. And in case you're wondering what that is, it's all the users of our network, including your children, our students, our staff, and the SASD community that uses our devices and our technology. You may or may not be aware, but cybersecurity attacks have dramatically increased within the last few years. And here on your screen, you're just seeing some global headlines of different organizations that have had cyber attacks and unfortunately have had to pay millions of dollars to get their network and their data back. So in today's presentation, here's just a very high level overview of what we're going to be speaking to you today. We're going to cover what is cybersecurity. We'll talk about phishing. And in our department, we say it's not misspelled. This is not the phishing that you need a boat, but there is a lot of bait. We'll talk about passwords and some standards that you can start to develop with your students and children at home. And we even have some tips for you and yourself that you can share with your family. PII, or personal identifiable information. We'll talk about that, how to store it, how to share it, what it is. Ms. Tanya from our EdTech department is going to talk to you about digital citizenship and what some of the lessons that your students are being taught in their classrooms. And then we'll end with our call to action. So as I mentioned, cybersecurity attacks across the nation have increased dramatically, but specifically around K through 12 organizations, we've seen the highest peak. This year alone, the way we're trending, it looks like we're going to have up to an 86% increase in cyber attacks towards K through 12 organizations across the nation. We have a couple of examples here in the middle of the screen that have happened across the nation, and some just down the street from us in our neighborhoods. The most recent one was Judson ISD. They got attacked this summer, a very unfortunate event. When this happens, people can't access their emails, kids can't log on to their digital resources. So it really wreaks havoc on our day-to-day instruction. You might wonder why, right? What are they after? What do these cyber criminals want from the school districts? Well, we have a lot of data. We hold all the data from any students who've ever attended SAISD, birthdays, social security numbers, addresses, and these are things that bad actors are after. They can get these, they can sell them online, make a lot of money on the dark web. And one of the other things is end user awareness. We'll talk a little bit about the technology that we put in place, but a lot of the times they don't try to hack the technology. What they try to do is they try to hack the people, the person. So here's a map of the United States of America. And here are all the reported incidents throughout our nation. And this is just to show you that it's widespread. It's all across the nation. It is a crisis. These are only reported incidents. And today school districts are not legally required to report when they do have a cyber attack. So if you look kind of on the center of the map, it's not that they're not getting attacked, it's just that they're not getting reported. Another metric that we want to share with you, there's a lot of metrics that we take a look at from our IT department on our specific network. On an average week, we get about 1.2 million emails that try to come into our network. And 1.1 of those emails are from known malicious sources. So these are emails that if a student or staff member would click on a link or open an attachment, we can go from having a great day at work to not being able to use our phones, our emails, or our system. Only about 100,000 do make it through our email filter. And that still includes what goes into our spam, into our quarantine. So this is very, very real for us here at the school district. But as I showed you across the nation, it is a crisis everywhere. So what we try to develop is the technology, right? And that's our piece here in our department in IT. We provide you with the connectivity for your home. We have hotspots if you don't have internet. We have devices if you don't have a device at home. And we provide all that. And we provide it with some guardrails. We do have management software in place We also develop policies and procedures around how you can use those, right? And what your password should look like. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But we can't be successful or stay cyber safe without what we call our human firewall, right? And again, that's you and your students and anybody who uses our SAISD network. So to further say about processes, so there's processes that we develop for our staff and for our students, but at home, these are just some processes that you can put into place and, start early. Sometimes people say, well, how early should we start talking about digital citizenship or cyber safety? The moment that you hand a child a device is the moment you should start speaking to them about a digital citizenship and how to act online, because sometimes they're given to this device, they're given power to the internet, but they truly don't understand. The internet's great, but it also comes with some risks that they should be aware of. So we just say, develop a set of rules for your household, speak with them openly to your children and to your family. And we have a couple of rules that we recommend that you set up for your household, like usage times. Try to keep devices in like an open area where you can see. And I know now a lot of them are portable, so they may run into the room and use them, but make sure those charging stations are in an open area where maybe you can see and better keep an eye on. And then as far as technology, again, us here in the district, we make sure all our systems are up to date. Usually when there's updates, it's to patch some kind of security or something that they now became aware of. So we're going to recommend that you at your home, make sure all your devices are up to date with your internet browser, your operating system. Usually you'll get like some pop-ups if something's out of date. So pay attention to those, make sure that they're real and that you are keeping all your systems up to date. A lot of things come with built-in controls. So take a look at those and see what's available on the different devices or different systems that you're using at home. This last one is about location services. There's a lot of apps that kids use, like Snapchat is one that will track where you are while you're using the app or just anywhere when you download it. You have to go in and turn it off. So be aware that there are locations or what we call geotagging in different applications where it could be easy to track a child or a device if those settings are on. So October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We've made it official here at SAISD. We've adopted October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we've been speaking to our staff, we've been speaking to our students. We just want to remind everybody that cybersecurity is everyone's job. Right now, we live in a very interconnected digital world. So we want our SAISD community just to be cyber aware and have the information they need to stay cyber safe. And now I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Hector Sandoval. He's our Assistant Director of our Data Center and Cybersecurity.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Eva. Oh, go ahead.
Like my pre-K, I have a student that's in pre-K 3, and they signed him an iPad. How would I be able to put it like where he can't like record stuff, like because he gets in a lot of apps that like he doesn't even use on the iPad. Like he gets in a lot of things that he doesn't use. Like how do I block him just from like certain little apps that he could use instead of like giving him access to like the whole iPad? Would there be a way to do that, or do I just talk to the teacher about that?
Yeah, it could be a request into our department and it would have to go through one of the staff members. But there is a way for us to do that and to remove applications, add applications, or lock applications from us centrally. So we make those applications available as they become approved or as teachers request them. But sometimes they just request them like for the whole school. So if it doesn't make sense for your son or your daughter to have that app, we can definitely make it not available on their app and just have, if it's just 5 apps that he's using, we can go in there and make sure he just has those 5 apps.
Okay, that'll be perfect. So do I talk to his teacher about that, like for them to handle that?
Yeah, I'm going to drop my information in the chat, me and Hector, because you can email me directly too, and we can make sure that that happens on your student device.
Okay, that'd be perfect because my 3-year-old, I charge it every day for him because they want the devices charged.
Thank you. Yes, that's a big
like I have to X out everything, and there's like so many pages open on him, and I'm like, how does he have like in so little seconds he gets in all of that? I'm guessing at school because here at home, like the less device time, the better for their eyes.
Mhm,
You know, I have them more outside, playing outside and stuff like that.
mhm.
So
There's a
yes,
saying that says iPad's down, heart rate's up. Get them up, running, moving.
yes, it's bike time for us after school. So that's what I tell my kids. No more devices.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop my email in the chat for you. Okay, Lily?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so one of the types of attacks that we want to touch on is called phishing. So we see phishing in many different types of ways. Basically, any way somebody can communicate with you, there's a potential for a phishing attack. So phishing is basically a fake message that seems to come from a trusted source or a reputable source, right? And they're trying to get information from you. They're trying to get you to click on links to download viruses, infect your device. And this happens across the board. It's not just within professional organizations and at work environments, but also at home. We tend to see now more and more usage of text. So for example, you'll get a text message claiming that your Wells Fargo account has been compromised or your bank account has been compromised in some way. And they're all fake messages. So we need to be very careful with what we click on, what we download. So here's an example of a phishing email, a fake email that's trying to get some information. So as you can see, it's claiming to be from the IRS. But there's some key things that you can look out for. First is the email actually coming from the IRS. What is that account that is sending that email? So always be very suspicious of emails like this. Institutions like the IRS or your bank accounts, your banks, they won't require you to send in your personal information. They have their own portals that you can log into, that you can submit that information. So if you get an email like this, it's likely fake. Please be very cautious with what you when you click on, what you open. One good thing that you can do as well is any links that are associated with the email, when you hover over it with the mouse, it'll show you exactly where the link is going. So what some of these threat actors, some of these hackers do is they'll hide the link, the actual link where it's going, they'll hide it behind a button or a phrase like this. So always be careful with what you click on, what you download, attachments that are tied to that email. Another thing that we need to be on the lookout for is USB devices. So USB flash drives, some of those storage devices, hackers tend to drop them off in parking lots, hoping that somebody's going to pick it up, or they'll be giving them away as gifts somewhere, just pretending to be somebody legitimate. But what they're actually trying to do is get you to install that device, hook it up to your laptop, your desktop, and it'll install some malware, some viruses that will infect your device and give them access to it. So always be very cautious with what you plug into your laptops, into your devices, with what your kids, what they're using on their devices. USB drives are very inexpensive, so don't take a chance if it's not yours. Another piece that we want to touch on is passwords and authentications. So your account, your password for any system, whether it's a banking system, your email, that's what identifies you. That's who you are. So it's very important to protect that identity, very important to protect that account and password. Most hacks, most breaches, they always involve a stolen or very weak passwords. It's important to use appropriate passwords. Usually the longer the better, complex passwords. anything that you can lock down with a username and password, that is the best recommendation. You don't want to leave a device that's completely open that anybody can access. So it's important that even as when we give a device to a child, that they understand the importance of accounts, of passwords, of their identity within the internet and any web resource. So here are some construction tips. Again, the longer the password, the better. If you can make it complex using special characters, a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters is always best. Avoid using names and dictionary words or dates. Anything that's tied to you, try not to use that. Sometimes it's easy for us to use our child's name and his birth date as a password or something that has some significance to us. The problem is that some of these hackers, they'll look through social media feeds. So if you've posted in the past about your child and their name and their birthdays or the stuff that your favorite things, those are just ways that they can extract and try to get into your account. So always please use passwords that are complex and long. Another piece that we want to touch on is personal identifiable information. So this is any information that can help determine who an individual is. So there's some examples here. Social security numbers is at the top of the list. That's what everyone is after. That's what all the hackers make their money on. So they try to get people to either give up their information or infect their devices to get that information. And once they have that, then they're able to monetize that by selling it on the dark web. So it's very important to keep track of where that information is, who we share it with, who we give it to. That is our identity, and we need to protect ourselves. And it goes the same for our children. Sometimes they're not aware that all this information, once you put it online, it's available for everyone and everyone can see it. So always remind your children that it's important that they don't share this information, their age, their address, what school they go to, all these things that people piece together and try to take somebody's identity. Eva mentioned about disabling geotagging. If you add geotagging to any picture, then somebody knows exactly where you're at, where you live. Sometimes we don't think about that, and we want to use these features because they're easy to use or they provide some benefit, but sometimes the benefit doesn't outweigh the risk. And another piece that is key is talking to strangers. It's important for our kids to understand that everyone is a stranger online. Online, everyone is a stranger because everyone can pretend to be someone that they're not. So we need to be very careful with who they talk to, how they talk to them, and what information they provide. Here again, touching on social media. Remember, everything that it gets posted, once it's out there, it's out there. Even after we delete it, if people find a way to find it. Once it's out there, once we put it out there, we may never be able to erase it. So it's important that we keep track of what we share, what we post, stop and think before we reply or post to anything. It's always key and important.
Hector, if I can just mention here on social media, I think it's kind of buried in the bullets here, but there is an age requirement for a lot of apps. And for a lot of apps, it's usually 13 years old. But what we see is that, oh, parents are like, it's okay, you can have a Facebook when you're 8 or when you're 9. And those age requirements are in place for a reason. So please follow those age requirements, look at the app, look at the rating, and follow the guidelines of the app developers, please.
Thank you, Eva. That's a great point. Another piece that we want to touch on is gaming. So now a lot of our kids, they like gaming. Within a lot of these gaming platforms, there's chat features. So it's always important to keep track of keeping those chats private, making sure that they're only communicating with people that they know. It's very easy to come across other people and start chats. And again, we don't really know who's on the other side of that line. So it's very important that our kids have an understanding of what they're communicating, who they're communicating with, and what they're sharing in any platform. You always also want to be protected while you're shopping. So always be careful with the links that you're clicking on, with the credit card information that you post. Sometimes a lot of the different vendors, they have the option where you can save your credit card information right to the site. It makes it easier, right? Next time you come, they already have your information there. Well, if you do that and they happen to get breached, then your information is going to go with it. So sometimes that, again, that the benefit, the ease of use, the risk is much greater. So we need to be careful with that. Wi-Fi networks. So it's important that you try to stay off of those public Wi-Fi networks because, again, it provides a risk to your devices, to your data. Any information that goes through there, now it's accessible to the person that's providing that service. So if you can stay off of those networks, it's probably the best. On websites, make sure that you use the secure communication. So HTTPS in front of the URL, that's always what you want to look at. When it has that S in front, it means that it's secure, that communication is encrypted. So if you go into a site and it doesn't have that S, don't trust it, because then that information is going to be open to whoever is in the middle watching. And now Ms. Tanya Mills, she's going to talk to us about digital citizenship.
So good afternoon, and thank you for coming to this informative session. My name is Tanya Mills. I work with the Office of Ed Tech and Design. We are part of academics, and we also share a connection with the technology department. What our purpose is to help our teachers in the classroom integrate technology into their lessons, especially with the new tools that they're getting each and every day from the tech department and also from the bond. So today is a very, very exciting day, each and every day that we have our kids and our teachers in the classroom together with the tech that they're sharing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about digital citizenship. As is defined, our students should recognize the rights, responsibility, and opportunities for living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world. We are focusing in on how they act and model in ways that are safe, legal, and ethical while they're using their devices. So for students, one of the requirements that we have is for them to go through certain digital citizenship lessons in the classroom with the teachers. We want to make sure that the students are able to not only receive that formal information, but also have the opportunity to model that throughout this whole entire school year. There are lessons that are located in our Canvas Commons, and those lessons are for our pre-K kinder. This is the variety of different lessons that they can use, but we also recommend certain approved outside resources like BrainPop and Google. So there's a lot of items that teachers can choose from in order to pass on that information to the students. So we are looking at the need for digital citizenship, and the one way we can do that is through the data itself. So we have found that smart phone ownership has increased dramatically. So if you can take a look at the actual chart here, we can see that students are getting smartphones more often and often younger. So it's really amazing to see that some students actually receive their first device, either as a gift or something that's passed down from another parent or family member, maybe as young as 3, maybe even younger than that. You can go to the next slide, please. And we're also seeing an increase on the use of those actual devices where students were sitting down or looking at that small screen for a longer and longer period of time through the day. So when students start using this mobile tech at younger ages, so you can see the chart right there to the left, where students often may have a tablet at home, or they may even have a tablet of their own at home that they're using more often. Students are also increasing, like as mentioned before, the amount of time that they're on this type of media, either watching videos or playing games or talking to other people. So if we go to the next slide. So as these items are in the hands of our students, and as the time that our students actually are using these items, we can see visually that the number of incidents of bullying and harassment in our schools are doubling, because now our students are not only having the opportunity to talk to others that they may not know, or talk to friends, talk to relatives, there is an increased opportunity for others to misbehave during this time. Okay, so in order to counteract that, what we are looking to do in our campuses and also hopefully at our home, inside of our homes, is to build a culture of positive digital citizenship. And what that means is that our campuses and students, we are going to spend time to make sure that they understand how to grow up in this environment, to explore, connect, create, and learn in new ways, because that's how they're going to learn in the future. But we also want our campuses and also our homes to understand that we have to make sure that we take care of the safety, privacy, and address the hate speech and cyberbullying, misinformation, and other digital distractions that come along with the time that our students spend on these devices. So to address these issues, we have a couple plans right here. In fact, many of the items that are mentioned here was also mentioned by Eva and also mentioned by Hector. So one of the ways that we can address this is by putting in place certain positive interactions through routines and procedures. So some of the items that you see here are what we encourage our teachers to do. So when we are using our devices, there may be a no tech time, which is red light, tech later, yellow light, tech now, green. So the same thing, it can be done at home. So when the students come in, they're in the house, they're ready to take off their shoes and everything else, then you would just say, hey guys, it's red light time. It's red light until we say green light, and we know what that means. So it's the same acceptable behavior that they have demonstrated in their classrooms. Some of the other items is privacy and security. You can keep going. So if we go to the next slide, the next couple of slides is really going to talk about a topic and then how we're actually dividing it into the different grade levels. So the students who are at the lower grades, pre-K kinder all the way up to 6th grade, they usually address items that are personal where they can take care of that. The SEL is actually part of that process. We still have that same type of order when it comes to students who are older, middle school and high school, but we're also addressing with them, how do they take that and how do they use that in the general community and also for their career and what they happen to do once they graduate from high school. So for privacy, and if we can go back, we want to make sure that students understand the risk of sharing information. And for older kids who have the funds to purchase, we also want to make sure that they understand exactly how to protect their own data. So we can go on. And one more. So when it comes to relationship and communication with elementary school students, we want to make sure they understand the difference between online and offline communication. To many of them who are younger, the way that I respond to you face to face is the way that I respond to you online, because we really need to make sure that they understand that difference, because that information that you share online will last a lifetime. Same thing applies to middle school and high school students, is that they have to understand that too when it comes to developing relationships with others. That might take place first online and then in person, or maybe in person and then it continues online. Okay, so we can go to the next. That kind of leads into this cyberbullying, digital drama, and hate speech thing. So with those relationships that the kids actually develop and maintain online, there are certain things that will develop from there. And some of these things happen to be negative. So in elementary, we want to make sure that we stress and clearly make sure the students understand what mean behavior is and how can it actually take place online and also in the classroom, and how do you handle that. For middle school students, we're exploring what exactly digital drama is. It goes way beyond that. He said this in person, and he's now saying this online. So there's that clear distinction of where it occurs, but we still need to be able to address that with our students. For high school, we want to identify ways that we can de-escalate those situations. So many times that you may have a friend who's experienced something, those high school students may be able to go ahead and reach and contact and console and address those issues more often than the adults would, because the kids tend to speak to each other in that way. So we want to give them those skill sets in order to address those items, but we also want them to know that the adults are there to help if needed. So I know that we've already talked about the digital footprint and identity when it comes to adults, but we want to make sure that we also address this to our kids, because many of the things that they do now, even in elementary, will live on in some form of fashion for the rest of their lives. And I haven't actually put it here, but there has been circumstances in which a student has done something in middle school that comes back to haunt them when they try to get a job or when they try to apply to college or actually start a career. So we want to make sure that our students understand both in elementary, when it comes to themselves and how these rings of responsibility tend to grow over a period of time. It's me, it's my family, it's my community, and then it becomes my career and my job in the future. So each and every time they put something online, they have to consciously understand that this information will live beyond of what that day or moment or instant that you actually typed it in. So those are some of the items that we want to make sure that we share with our students. I do have resources here on the next couple of slides. The resources come from Common Sense Media, a wonderful site that will have resources for families, both in English and in Spanish. So if you are interested in these items, we will make sure to make those available for you to take a look at. And these are lessons that you can share with your kids. So this is a teachable moment when you may have a child who has questions about how to address these certain issues. It doesn't have to wait until the teacher addresses it in school. These are resources for you to go ahead and unpack and share with your kids at any time that you believe that now is the time to address relationships and communication, cyberbullying, or anything else that you see right here on the screen. On the next slide is resources from Google itself. In fact, Google also has it in English and Spanish for family guides, but it also has an online course that the kids can play with little robots that float around, and it will answer or ask a series of questions that the students can answer back on. And that makes it a fun way to kind of learn about how you can address tech and how you can address what comes along with that, both for yourself and email and dealing with your digital footprint, and all the other topics that we kind of went over today can be found inside of that online game. And oh, that's it for me. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and type my contact information in the chat in case you have any questions about how we address digital citizenship at the campus level and how we can help you address that in your home.
Thank you, Tanya. A
Thank
lot
you.
of great information and great resources that you can take advantage of. And like Tanya said, they can be teaching moments for your family at home. And now our call to action. We first want to remind you again, Cybersecurity Month is this month in October. It's almost over, but we take this month to help advocate and bring awareness to cybersecurity in our community. But of course, we want that to continue. We want you to share this information with anybody you may know, your neighbors, your parents, and of course, your students and your families. But it does take everyone doing their part. Cybersecurity is everybody's job. If you use the internet, you work in cybersecurity as well, right? You have a role and a piece in it. Oh, and now we have a student video that we want to show you. It's a quick video. It's only a minute long. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you.
Hey, SISD. Here are 7 ways how to be cyber smart. Cyber smart. Make sure to update all your devices to be safe and protected. Make sure you have strong passwords. Using at least 8 characters. 8 letters, numbers, and symbols. Watch out for phishing scams. If you don't know what that is, that's where people try to take your information. You probably don't want to share your personal information. Don't share personal information like birthdays or addresses. No leas en tu cumpleaños. Make sure your home Wi-Fi is secured and has a password. If you're buying stuff online, make sure that it's legit. Si compras algo en una aplicación, aplicaciones que no son de verdad, so tengan cuidado. Be careful when you buy everything online. Secure websites start with HTTPS. Read the privacy statements to know how they use your information. To learn more, go to commonsensemedia.org. Hashtag be cyber smart. See you later. Was this on like YouTube or something?
It was on YouTube. We put it on YouTube just for him. And Tanya's team, our EdTech team, helped put that together with our students. And we did a lot of things throughout the month of October. So coming to this Family Power Hour was one of the things we wanted to do, but we had an art contest. We had a video contest for the students, and that went very well. What you're seeing on your screen right now is, again, our Cyber Smart flyer. When students log on to Canvas, which is a learning management system, to do any of their work or see their assignments, they are seeing this for the month of October, and it just reminds us to be cyber smart. It reiterates some of the things that we've been talking about today as far as how you can stay cyber smart. So that does conclude our presentation. At this time, we'll see if there's any questions for us.